I'm just going to introduce to you your speaker. Lieutenant Colonel Ed Winkler, a local business owner, deployed into the Middle East as the commander of a light infantry company consisting of 169 soldiers. He was deployed from February 15, 2003 to April 10th of 2004. During this period of time, he executed a variety of missions in Kuwait and Iraq, including 3 separate missions into Iraq, one being 91 days of combat operations just 25 miles south of Baghdad. As a result of his service, he was awarded the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, the Navy Commendation Medal for his work with the United States Navy at the Kuwait Naval Base, the Combat Infantryman's Badge, and the Bronze Star for his work in Iraq and Kuwait. And I give to you Ed Winkler.
So normally this will be the round of applause. No. So I'm really excited to be here today. I've given a lot of thought on this concept of what is a hero. And I will tell you that a hero is not an extraordinary person doing extraordinary things. A hero is an ordinary person who does an extraordinary thing once or a series of times that makes them a hero. They're ordinary people. And once you have earned that status of hero, you can't lose that status. And so what I mean by that is, and a lot of my comments are going to be couched in terms of combat, not necessarily armed combat, but other types of combat, and I'll explain that in more detail in a few minutes. But when you think about the soldier who was, let's say, in the World War II, okay, the Battle of the Bulge, in a foxhole, they're surrounded by Germans. It's the 101st Airborne Division, and they're in a foxhole, they're under fire, and the guy was drafted. He was a math major. He loves slide rules and little gadgets, but now he's holding a rifle and he's in the infantry because he was drafted into that. His buddy in the next foxhole has just been injured. There's intense fire. He's thinking, I got to go help my buddy. So under intense fire, this geek gets out of the foxhole from protected position, races over, drags his buddy to a medic who saves his life, and then he gets back in the foxhole and he does, what he was drafted to do. And that's an ordinary individual doing an extraordinary thing for a split moment. And if you were to ask those people who we call heroes, they feel like a hero, what do you think they're going to say? Nope. Ordinary person doing ordinary things. I have no idea why I did what I did. It was just the right thing to do at that moment. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different people who I believe are heroes and who have been heroes to me. 2 of them are members of the church and 1 is not. And before I get into speaking about these 3 people, I want to share with you a letter that I wrote to some of your older brothers and sisters in this state or in this region from the combat zone 14 or 12 years ago. And even before I do that, I want to preface this by saying I've done a lot of public speaking on this kind of thing, and there will be times when I will get emotional because I am a real man with real feelings, and they will come out. And I don't know if it's the Spirit that's whispering to me at the time or reconfirming that I've done some things that are right at the right times in the right place. But I want to talk a little bit about the fight that will turn some of you into heroes for some people in your lives down the road. So this is a letter that I wrote to the young people of the church. It was picked up by the New Era in 2004. How many of you get the New Era? Okay. So I don't remember what month it was published in, but But I wrote this, and this is directly from my war journal. I captured it, put it. I've got 142 typewritten pages with photos and captions that capture my combat experience in the Middle East. And I write, to the young people of the church, greetings. I write to you from the Middle East, where I have been deployed in support of the war on terrorism. I will never forget the event that brought me to these circumstances where my men and I suffer the pain of separation from our loved ones, where we are tormented by a relentless heat, and where we courageously risk injury and death in the face of an enemy who will not stand and fight. The events of 9/11 have propelled us into a condition where we must take a stand. And stand we will, and fight we must. Our cause is righteous, and our purpose honorable. I have looked into the eyes of the Iraqi people, children, and especially the teenagers, who are old enough to know the evil man, Saddam Hussein, and I see hope flickering. I see a growing sense of freedom. I see gratitude. The price is still high. We are losing men every day to this enemy who strikes us and then evaporates, who hits us and then hides among the women and children. We will not stand and fight. This is the condition we find ourselves in. Each day, as my men wake up, there is this distant yet pervasive thought that this could be the day they are injured or killed. I've called on them to be prepared, both physically and spiritually. There are three things I will stake my life in the defense of. Three things that rise above self. Three beliefs that drive my decisions over God, family, and democracy. I stand firm in my resolve to live in a place where a people can worship the Almighty God according to the dictates of their conscience. I will fight for it. I'm resolute in my desire to be free to gather my family around me at a time and place of my choosing. Evil men have conspired and continue to conspire to separate us from our loved ones and prevent us from free and safely doing as we choose through their cowardly acts of terrorism. I will fight for that. I remain strong in my determination to live in a place where I choose my leaders through the democratic process, specifically the right to vote. I believe that democracy is the most perfect form of government on the face of the earth. I will fight for that. I have no compunction about looking the enemy in the eye and killing him. We are playing for peace. Now as in the past, there is a profound need for righteous leaders and followers on the battlefield. Great leaders are great followers. The greatest followers make the greatest leaders. There is, however, another great battle that is raging in our midst. It is the fight that a young person faces as he or she struggles on the battlefield of life. You now, as young people, are choosing the terrain upon which you will fight for the rest of your earthly existence. The enemy you face is strong, and he will attempt to lure you into ambushes that can destroy you spiritually. Many of you will prepare by viewing the battlefield in advance, with the help of parents, teachers, scriptures, and prayer. Many of you will prepare by viewing the terrain, and you will see the potential danger areas, the places where you can be caught off guard, the places where you are weak, and you will fortify yourself. You will become skilled in the use of your weaponry, which weaponry is the priesthood, the access to it, the scriptures, prayer, the Spirit. Most of you will emerge from these years as warriors, skilled in the art of conflict at hand. You will be careful planners who anticipate the strengths of the enemy and who know your personal weaknesses. You've taken time to learn how to fight this enemy, great Satan. Others will enter the battle with little thought, unwilling to acknowledge that this is a struggle for their very soul. Make no mistake, all of you will enter the fight. Every one of you. Those with strength and faith and endurance will emerge victorious. There's some more there, but I don't want this entire thing to be about that letter. You can find it in the mirror and read the rest of it. So ordinary people doing extraordinary things that impact a small or large group of people for a single moment or for a lifetime. I'm going to start by talking about Harry Thomas. He's my father-in-law for death. The great man. He was an ordinary man, born during the Depression, Hermiston, Oregon. He grew up as a non-member, ordinary things, played basketball in college, got a job in a grocery store, met a girl, happened to be LDS, got married, got baptized, raised 3 children, all 3 of them married in the temple, 2 of them served the mission. Ordinary things in our culture. It's ordinary to get married in the temple. It's ordinary to serve the mission if that's the direction that we're going. He worked every day of his life. He wasn't particularly educated. He had enough education. We owned grocery stores. We owned cleaning businesses. But the thing about him is that as he advanced in years in the 70s, he developed melanoma, skin cancer. And each year, he would go get a checkup, be diagnosed with an eruption of this, new eruption of skin, get it treated, and then some back and thinking he's done it. And this went on for 3 or 4 years. He didn't tell us that he saw a growing mass, if you will. He just ignored it. And it got pretty bad. And when he finally went to the doctor said, this is metastasized. We have to get into radiation and chemo, whatever it is that we have to do to beat this cancer. And at the age of 75, almost 76 years old, he made the decision that he would accept his mortality and choose to allow the Lord to take it. It was 5 weeks from the time that he received that prognosis to the time that he died. He was 100% of that 5 weeks. 5 weeks to pass away. During that 5 weeks, he showed every one of us how to live and how to pray. He gathered his family around. He received blessings from him. His entire family, with the exception of one grandchild who was serving the mission, gathered in his living room, and he counseled us as a father would counsel his eternal family on how to live. Those words, and you can imagine what those words are. I'll let you imagine what those words were. They were meaningful, they were profound, and they were impactful on me and a variety of members of our family for the rest of our lives. That's Harry Thomas. Hero. Ordinary person. Extraordinary. The next person I want to talk about is Kurt Shrout. He's not a member. Kurt Shrout, I met him 9 years ago. I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Been practicing for 9 years. I enjoy that art. I decided to begin practicing it because the art of hand-to-hand combat has been lost on the battlefield, and there's an increased need for that. And so I wanted to be that old man who, in the Army, none of his soldiers could beat. Okay? Nobody wants to go against the old man. The commander can kick some serious booty. Okay? So anyway, I began studying jiu-jitsu, and Kurt was there as a purple belt. Now, the way that the belt structure works is white, or blue, purple, brown, and black. So it's right in the middle. And I met him, don't remember him. He was then gone for a while, and then he came back. And when he came back, he said, hey, I know you don't know me very well, but you have a job in the company that I did. Anything I could do? Yeah, I did. Turns out he was diagnosed with lymphoma. Now, he had 1 infant at the time. He recently married 1 infant in his life. And he made the decision that he was going to fight back. Do you know anybody who's been through chemotherapy? It is ugly. It is hard. It takes a mental toughness and a willingness to It's a personal fight. There is no team in fighting chemotherapy. It is all you and a determination. So he made that decision. He was going to fight that. And he beat the cancer. And he's gone on to have 2 more children, okay, who would not have a father at all. And the one that he was an infant now has a father who can raise him. But it's more than that. Kurt went on to become a professor of jiu-jitsu, which you attain that rank when you become a black belt. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He holds a bronze medal at the world level and 2 Western Hemisphere championships. Ordinary person, extraordinary event that has led him to do other things that are a huge inspiration to people living today. Kurt Shrout is a hero. The third person I want to talk about is John Chapman. Now, John Chapman is, what a story. I met him in the 11th grade. He and I fought together on the Red Dragon kickboxing team. That's where I met him. He was from the other school across town. It was a rival high school. But we were on the same team. It was a team that was private, not school-related. Now, John Chapman, girls, this guy, phenomenally good. Even the Spirit manifests that to the world. See? Nobody could outrun him, and no one could beat him in a fight. Street fight or a ring fight. This guy was an extraordinary individual doing extraordinary things. By definition, not a hero. He's just doing his thing, right? This guy, he's the kind of guy that if you're at a party, you 2 are together, and John comes up and says, "Hey, can you go over here and hang out with me?" You would say, yes. And he can't do anything because he's going to get his butt kicked if he tries anything. Okay? Phenomenally good looking, fastest guy around, and he could kick everybody's butt. Okay? He and I began to pal around as team members. Played church ball with us. I remember him playing the tournaments, and he'd go to practice with us. I'd pick him up Sunday morning and say, "Hey, it's time, come to church with me, And he was always asleep. I'd knock on his window because his door's locked. "Get up!" And he's not up. He never did go to church with me. But when I served my mission, I was 21 years old. I had just gotten off active duty in the Army, and I got a letter from my mom who said, "Hey, John Chapman joined the church because of you." That's pretty cool. A brand new missionary. I'm like, first month out, I got baptized. I didn't even have to try. Awesome. And so anyway, John joined the church, and he went through all of the growth that you would expect to go through in the church. Now, John continued his fighting career. John has had over 100 professional fights. He is ranked 3rd in the world in his weight class and is the U.S. champion. Okay, and he hung up his gloves years ago. He got a degree in nursing, became a nurse, became a personal trainer. He was maybe 160 pounds back then. It's like 240. He's stacked. He's a specimen. Okay, so. But he's 50 years old. He's my age. We graduated together. So this summer, I was talking to him. I was visiting hometown. I did a shout out to him. My family was going to Crab Island, which is not really an island. It's a sandbar. It's beautiful. I wish I should show you some pictures, but it's another story. Nothing about heroes there. And so he and his wife agreed to come and hang out for the day on the boat with us. And he was hesitant at first. He says, "Ed, I'm not the same anymore." He says, "I've got what appears to be early onset Parkinson's, and it's making me feel self-conscious being out in public because I have a tremor in my right hand, and it affects my speech from time to time." And we chatted as just come on out, hang out with my family. I think you'll enjoy it. So we talked on the boat, and he expressed his concern about being in public, where he was this icon. Everybody loves John Chapman, and still does. But he's like, I don't want people to see me like this because I'm different now. And I said, you need to take the teeth out. You need to take charge. Instead of sitting back, you need to step forward and say, hey, everybody, this is what's going on in my life. Because remember I talked about the 2 high schools, Vikings, that was me, Choctaw Indians, that was him. There's this magical thing about the mid-'80s of our high school classes. We are tight. We have each other's back. And I said, you should put something out on Facebook and just put it out there. You could be a true inspiration to people who are fighting any kind of fight. It's like, I can do that. I think that's a great idea because then he takes the teeth out of it. And so I'm gonna read part of, or paraphrase, what he posted, because this is John Chapman, ordinary person, doing extraordinary things and impacting and influencing people, rippling far reaches. Just like you put that, it's a huge impact. And this isn't his exact words, so I'm going to paraphrase. This post is not for everyone to read, Facebook. It's for the people I know and love, and for those who know and love me. To the members of my high school tribe, and to anyone who has ever stepped into the arena of life, faced the beast, then been knocked down or knocked out, and then stood back up and killed the beast. And when I'm done, you will have a glimpse into who I am today, and something very personal that I want my tribe to know about me. My name is John Chapman. I'm a fighter. No surprises there. I've stepped into the arena and faced the beast more than 100 times. I've been knocked down and I've been knocked out. And I've gotten up every time, but that's not really the point. Those were small beasts, the kind you see coming and can prepare for. There's a beginning and an end. And I want to talk about the beast in the shadows that you don't see coming and that consumes you without you realizing it until it's wrapped its ugly tentacles around your soul in its relentless grip. That's the first part of the window I'm opening to those I grew up with. There's me. That beast was alcohol and occasional drugs. They consumed me. I wrestled that beast and it beat the tar out of me in every round except the last one. In that last round, I turned to the people in my corner and realized that they had my back. That group of people helped me through that desperate round. When the bell sounded, I stood triumphant over the beast. I thank you for being in my corner. You, and you, and you. My tribe. There's something unique and special about the Indians and Vikings from the mid-'80s. I know you've seen it and felt it. We are bonded over time and space. It's amazing. Now I'm facing the biggest fight of my life. I want my tribe to hear it say that I am going back into the arena and facing this beast. When you see me on the street, shake my hand or throw your big lovable arm around me. I know you're in my corner, and I know you have my back. I have what appears to be early onset Parkinson's. I noticed a tremor in my left hand about 5 years ago, and it's progressed to my arm and sometimes affects my speech when I'm tired. This may be a result of my life as a fighter, but it's hard to tell. My point is, I'm going to fight this beast. It's the biggest fight of my life, and it's one of those fights that matters in the biggest sense of the word. When you see me next, just know that I'm the same John Chapman you've always known. I'm a fighter. I'm going to be okay. As I've aged, I've matured. I've cast off some of the shackles that have weighed me down. I've welcomed that which lifts me up. I don't fear this fight. I have you, and you, and you. Lastly, if you are facing a beast in your life that feels like it's crushing you, reach out to me or tribe member you know. We are here for you and every member of the tribe. God bless every one of you. That, my friends, is a hero. He is standing back up and facing a huge challenge. Now that tribe, you have that as well. You've got the rule of your family. They've got your back in everything that happens in your life. They've got your back. I want to thank you for listening to my thoughts on heroes. Again, these are just opinions. Others have different takes on what a hero is. As you circulate through the classes, listen to what they have to say. You begin to distill and synthesize these comments down into something that works for you. And when it does, you will own it for the rest of your lives. Thank you very much.